For the cost of what is sitting here, I could have walked into an Apple store and bought a MacBook and a tablet, 2 devices, and had a significant amount of money left over. Instead, I bought one thing. I've talked about it for a while. This is the final review of my 13-inch iPad Pro with the M5 chip loaded up, and I've been using it every single day for like 7-ish months as of this filming. And by the end of this video, I'm going to tell you whether I'd buy it again, and I'm also going to do a piece of math that I don't think anybody at Apple wants you doing in your head, so stick with me. All right, so to explain why I bought it and what I've learned in 7 months, I have to back up a decade when I look like this. I've owned every iPad Pro Apple's ever made. Every single generation, going back to the original in 2015, was basically just a giant iPad with the stupid pencil at the bottom. That history is kind of the whole reason that this final review exists, because owning every one of them has taught me something that Apple really doesn't want you to notice. The iPad Pro has been a solution looking for a problem for the better part of a decade. Every generation, Apple adds more power, more accessories, more software ambition, and tells you that this is the year it finally can become a laptop. And every generation, I use it the exact same way I used the last one. For media, reading, for travel, and just for doing stuff in the morning. And the Pro is marketed to everyone, when it's really only built like the Pro features for, I think, a small slice of people. The rest of us keep buying anyway because the screen is too pretty to say no. I've taken this thing over the 7 months on 5 flights and 2 road trips since October. And long flights are the only time I really personally ever get to watch whatever I want without interruption. I got kids at home, I don't have a lot of free time. That tandem OLED at 30,000 feet does something to dark content that doesn't translate when you're watching stuff at home. But as a portable display, this is the best one that I've put in front of my face regularly. I sprung for cellular. Actually, the first time I had cellular was on last year's M4. And everybody likes to dunk on cellular iPads. I've seen it in the comments. I used to say it too, when it's like, just tether your phone. And that is reasonable for, I'm just gonna guess, like 80% of the time. Other 20%, you're in Mexico on a family vacation and Verizon doesn't work there at all. And the only thing keeping you working is the Google Fi eSIM on the iPad, blasting 5G. Everyone else is hunting for hotel Wi-Fi. That trip alone earned the cellular upgrade for me, and I'm never going back to buying a Wi-Fi only iPad again. All right, so while we're on using the iPad, we do want to thank this video sponsor, Paperlike. If you're someone who actually picks up the Apple Pencil to write, to sketch, or just mark stuff up, this one is very clearly for you. So Paperlike 3 is a screen protector that kind of undersells what it does. The Apple Pencil on bare glass has always been, at least for me, a little too slick, a little too frictionless. Paperlike is adding micro texture, they're calling nanodots. And it gives the pencil the resistance that you kind of hand expects if you're writing on actual real paper. So you get things like more control, more precision. The install is also the other part that I appreciate. They've got a butterfly application system where the iPad actually walks you through the steps on screen. And there's a tool that handles alignment and sort of keeps dust out. You do get 2 protectors in every pack, so if you mess one up, you've got a backup. Super easy to put on, and I have put a lot on tablets. Thin enough too, at under 1/10 of a millimeter. The pencil still works exactly how Apple designed it to. Also, Paperlike is backing it by a 100-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't like it, they got your back, and I think most people will probably like it. If you have an iPad, this is probably the easiest day one upgrade. If you want it, you've got it. If you want to take it off, you can take it off. You kind of get that flexibility. If you want to check out or pick one up, link is in the description. Battery is also another non-issue. I don't use it hard enough in a single sitting to drain it at all. I charge it every 6 days when I see the battery's getting low, and I never really think about it. Fast charging is nice when I forget, but I rarely need it. But there's also some small stuff with the iPad Pro that kind of snuck up on me. I started to notice over the 7 months. 1 nit minimum brightness sounds like a marketing lie until I actually used it. I have insomnia. Sometimes I wake up at 3 a.m. With no good reason. I'll grab the iPad, obviously knowing screens are the last thing I should be looking at anyway. But with this screen, I can make it dim enough my wife doesn't stir, my eyes don't feel like they got punched with light. It's a small thing, but it's a real thing. I'm sure it's not 1 nit, it doesn't go down to 1 nit. I'm not sitting there measuring the nits, but it's dark enough, it's not gonna wake her up, but bright enough that I can see it. I really do love this iPad, which is why what comes next is a bit frustrating, because Apple doesn't sell this as a media machine. Apple sells it as a laptop replacement. The Magic Keyboard, the Pencil Pro, iPad OS 26 with windowed apps, the M5 chip doing desktop work. A few months ago, actually, when it came out, I made a video where I locked up my MacBook and used this iPad as my computer. The first day, I had my Logitech MX mouse pair. I was treating it like a MacBook, and everything felt 16 different versions of wrong. It took me until like day 4 to realize the trick was using it like an iPad when it should be an iPad, and like a laptop when it should be a laptop. Sounds obvious. But once I figured that out, it worked. It just didn't work the way that I work. I tried editing some social cuts and Final Cut on it last month, and my muscle memory just wasn't there for the on-screen touch stuff. Any multitasking task still takes more steps than it would on the Mac. Sometimes that trade-off is fine. For me, it was just easier to grab the Mac. The exception, and credit where it's due, again, personal stuff, is for writing. The Magic Keyboard is great, and it's something about an iPad sort of being siloed in one app that kills the temptation to flip over to Slack or Telegram or email every 5 minutes. I get more done writing on this than I do on my Mac, which brings me to the processor, the M5 chip itself, and it's the reason this video exists. It's a chip Apple built for a version of you, or at least of me, that doesn't exist yet. My morning routine on this iPad is identical to what I did with the M1 chip from 5 years ago. Grab it off the nightstand, check email in the morning, check sports scores that I might have missed by falling asleep on the couch. The chip has never entered the picture for me at all. This chip exists, I think, to justify the price tag, and the price tag exists because Apple needs the Pro to be more expensive than the Air. And there's some nuance in there too, obviously, and some people are the exception, but that's mostly the story. Strip the M5 marketing off this thing, and what's left is a gorgeous screen, a thin body, an operating system that ships free on every other iPad Apple sells. And speaking of which, iPad OS 26 is the actual upgrade story in this generation. The new windowed apps, the Mac-style multitasking. I do turn it on when the iPad is docked to the Magic Keyboard, and then off when I'm just using it with my hands. Touch and floating windows, I don't think play well together. But Apple is finally letting you choose, which is the right call. I think the more choice users get, the better. But none of that requires the iPad Pro to actually do. And while we're on what I change, there's one thing that's been bugging me, and it's been on me. This is more personal than probably anything else in this video. I went for the 13-inch this time. Last generation I had the 11, and I should have stuck with the 11. The 13 is incredible on planes and on the couch, but in bed, in the morning where I do half of my reading, it's just a little too big. The 11 fits nicely in one hand for me. The 13 kind of wants both. 13 definitely wins if you're doing a lot of writing because the Magic Keyboard real estate. Everything else, 11 is the size. If I were doing this over again, I would go for the 11 in a heartbeat, and I wouldn't think about it. Which brings me to the part of this video I think Apple's marketing team is going to hate, and that's math. 13-inch iPad Pro starts at $1299 for 256 gigs. So add the Magic Keyboard for $350, Pencil Pro for $129, and you are at over $1,700 before cellular, before a nano glass texture that's locked behind a terabyte of storage, and before you upgraded the charger. Because the one Apple ships in the box, 20-watt brick that can actually use fast charging. You want to take advantage of that, you're buying a 60-watt adapter, maybe you have one sitting at home, load it up the way I bought mine, you're spending north of $2,300. Here's what else $2,300 buys you in the Apple Store right now. iPad Air M4 starts at $599 for the 11-inch, $799 for the 13. Same Pencil Pro, same iPad OS 26, 12 gigabytes of RAM that matches the base Pro. Screen's not OLED, but Liquid Retina is generally good. And add in the brand new MacBook Neo, costs like $600, an actual Mac with Mac OS with a real file system. And if you do that math and add it up, for less than one fully kitted iPad Pro cost, you could walk out of an Apple store with a really good tablet and a surprisingly good laptop sitting next to each other at your desk. And you can pick which one you want to use. That's the math, which forces the question of who actually buys the iPad Pro, aside from people like me. Creators doing real work on glass, where the chip and the screen and the pencil earn their sort of daily keep. And the rest of us have been buying every iPad Pro for a decade because the screen is just too good to walk away from. I'm in that second group, and I know it. And I bought this knowing that with my eyes open. But the screen, the build, the way it makes everything feel premium, it did really deliver on that. The other side of the argument still is there too. It's got a chip that I will never push, a price tag that doesn't make sense unless you love this stuff, and a software story hasn't quite caught up to hardware. So would I buy it again? Yeah, I would, but I'd buy the 11-inch. If you came to this video trying to figure out which iPad to buy, the answer is probably for almost everybody the iPad Air M4, same software, same accessories mostly, a screen you won't actually complain about, and enough money saved up to either pocket it or buy a Mac alongside it. Unless you're doing like real pro app work. The Pro is more device than you probably need. And here's the thing I've been circling for a decade and only just figured out. iPad Pro is not a laptop. It is never, ever going to be a laptop. I think Apple needs to stop convincing us or trying to convince us. We kind of keep nodding along every year. But every year I end up using it for the same things I used with the original one. Came back when I took it to Germany. I watch stuff on it. I read stuff on it. I kill time on a plane, catching up at 3 a.m. when I can't sleep. The form factor has always been good at exactly those things. Apple is trying to sell us something fancier on top of it ever since. Now the M5 iPad Pro is clearly the best version of the iPad ever. And that's what it is, the best iPad. Not the best laptop, not a computer, not whatever Apple's gonna pitch, this year at WWDC. The best version of the thing they invented in 2010, a screen that's evolved past anything else portable, and a chip that's, I think, is there mostly to justify price. If you want the best iPad ever made, then do it. You'll get it, you'll love it. I love mine. If you want a computer, buy a computer. There's one sitting at the Apple Store for $599. That's not the iPad Pro's job, and it never was.